The bouncer's eyes scanned me up and down like I was some kind of lost puppy. His thick arms crossed over his chest, the neon lights of the club flashing behind him. Vibe, the hottest spot in the city. The bass from inside thumped against my chest, but the real pounding came from my heart. You serious? He smirked, nodding at my outfit. A simple black dress, nothing flashy. This ain't a coffee shop, sweetheart. VIP only. I blinked, but I'm on the list. The bouncer, Marcus, his name tag read, let out a loud laugh. Yeah? What's your name, princess? I hesitated. Lena. He scrolled through his tablet, then shook his head. Nah, no Lena here. A group of girls in sequin dresses and sky-high heels pushed past me, giggling as they flashed their wristbands. One of them shot me a pitying look. Maybe try the diner down the street? My fingers curled into my palms. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. I'd spent months planning this, my first night out since everything changed, and now I was being turned away from my own. Problem here? A smooth voice cut through the noise. I turned. A tall guy in a tailored suit, manager material, stepped forward. His name tag read Jason, and his smile was all practiced charm. Marcus shrugged. She says she's on the list. Ain't seeing it. Jason gave me another once-over. You with a group? A promoter? I swallowed. Number I should be allowed in. His smile didn't waver, but his eyes turned colder. Look, we have standards. Maybe next time, dress the part, yeah? The girls behind me burst into laughter. My face burned. That's when I saw him. Leaning against the velvet rope, smirking like he owned the place because he thought he did. Tyler Carter, the guy who'd been running Vibe into the ground for the last 2 years. Jason, why is there a traffic jam out here? Tyler's voice dripped with arrogance. Jason straightened. Just handling a situation, sir. Tyler's gaze landed on me. His smirk widened. Oh, this. Cute. You lost, sweetheart? I didn't answer. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Tell you what, I'll let you in if you give me your number. The air turned thick. The music, the crowd, the flashing lights, everything faded except the slow, simmering anger in my chest. I leaned in, smiling sweetly. How about instead, you check the ownership papers for this place? His smirk faltered. What? I reached into my bag, pulling out a single folded document. Page 3, Section B. Right under property transfer. The blood drained from his face. The next morning, I stood at the edge of the private airfield, watching the sunrise paint the sky in streaks of gold. My pilot, Mark, adjusted his cap and gave me a knowing look. You sure about this? I smirked. Never been more sure. The sleek white jet gleamed under the morning light, its engines humming softly. It wasn't just any private plane, it was a Gulfstream G650, one of the fastest in the world. And today, it wasn't just taking me home. It was sending a message. As we took off, I leaned back in the plush leather seat, my fingers tracing the edge of the contract I'd been about to sign with the Grand Diamond Group. A multi-million-dollar deal to expand their luxury resorts. Now? It was just a piece of paper I'd tear up in front of them. Mark's voice crackled through the intercom. We'll be landing in 20 minutes. You ready for this? I closed my eyes, replaying the manager's smug face in my mind. Oh, I've been ready. The Grand Diamond Hotel's staff scrambled like ants when the jet's shadow passed over the building. Guests on the terrace pointed, their champagne glasses forgotten. The manager, Mr. Ponytail himself, rushed outside, his face pale as the jet descended onto the helipad. The door opened and I stepped out, this time in a tailored black dress and heels that clicked against the tarmac. My hair was swept up, my sunglasses hiding the fire in my eyes. The manager's mouth fell open. You... I didn't let him finish. Surprised? I walked past him, the hotel staff parting like the Red Sea. I believe you told me the cafe across the street was more suitable. His Adam's apple bobbed. There must be some misunderstanding. Oh, there's no misunderstanding. I pulled off my sunglasses, finally letting him see the cold fury in my gaze. You judged me the moment I walked in, and now? I gestured to the jet. Now you realize how badly you messed up. A crowd had gathered. Guests, staff, even the chef peered out from the kitchen. The manager's hands trembled. Miss Winters, I supplied, CEO of Horizon Holdings, and the woman who is about to make your hotel the most profitable in the country. The blood drained from his face. I turned to the stunned onlookers, my voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Let this be a lesson. The way you treat people always comes back to you. Then I walked inside, leaving him standing there, his career crumbling faster than his ego. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Because waiting for me in the lobby was someone I hadn't expected to see. The owner of the Grand Diamond Group, and he looked pissed. The hotel lobby fell dead silent as I locked eyes with Charles Remington, the silver-haired billionaire who owned the Grand Diamond Group. His sharp gray suit probably cost more than most people's cars, and the way his jaw clenched told me he already knew exactly who I was. Ms. Winters, he said, his voice like ice cracking underfoot. I received some concerning news this morning. I crossed my arms. About how your manager treats potential guests or about how your company just lost its biggest investor? A muscle twitched near his temple. Behind us, the manager was sweating through his expensive shirt. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office. The elevator ride to the penthouse was the longest 30 seconds of my life. Remington's reflection in the mirrored walls looked like a thundercloud about to burst. When the doors opened, the panoramic view of the city almost distracted me from the legal documents spread across his glass desk. He didn't sit. You were going to sign these yesterday. I was. I ran my finger along the edge of the contract. Until your staff made it clear what kind of people you value. Remington's polished facade cracked just enough to show real anger. That man will be fired before lunchtime. That's not what I want. The words surprised even me. His eyebrows shot up. Then what do you want? I moved to the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching tiny ant-like people scurrying below. I want him to understand. Really understand. Turning back, I met Remington's gaze. How many others has he turned away? Single mothers who saved for years for one special night? Veterans who just wanted a hot meal? Kids who dreamed of seeing how the other half lives? The billionaire's expression shifted in a way I didn't expect. Something almost like shame. You want to make an example of him? No. I pulled out my phone and showed him the video that had already gone viral. Footage of the manager sneering at me yesterday, shot by some bystander. The internet's already doing that. What I want? I tapped the screen showing my company's charity initiatives. Is for you to match my foundation's donation to the city's homeless shelters. Dollar for dollar. Remington stared at me like I'd grown a second head. That's millions. And? I tilted my head. You've got billions. Unless ... I let the word hang. You'd rather explain to your board why you lost the Horizon deal over one rude employee? The silence stretched so long I could hear the antique clock ticking on the wall. Then Remington did something completely unexpected. He laughed, not a polite chuckle. A full, deep laugh that made his shoulders shake. When he finally caught his breath, he wiped his eyes. My God, no wonder you're the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. He reached for the intercom. Jessica? Cancel my morning meetings and send up 2 coffees. As he turned back to me, something like respect flashed in his eyes. Now, Miss Winters, let's talk about how we're going to fix this. But just as I was about to respond, my phone buzzed with a message that made my blood run cold. The screen showed a single sentence. You shouldn't have embarrassed them like that. And attached was a photo of my jet with all its tires slashed. My fingers tightened around the phone as I stared at the slashed tires. Someone had been watching me, waiting. This wasn't just about the hotel anymore. This was personal. Remington noticed my expression. Problem. I turned the screen toward him. His face darkened instantly. That's on my property. He snatched his desk phone. Security! Lock down the helipad immediately. Review all camera footage from the past hour. I barely heard him. My mind raced through possibilities. Competitors? Disgruntled employees? The manager downstairs certainly had motive, but would he be the stupid? The message's wording stuck in my mind. You shouldn't have embarrassed them like that. Them. Not me. Remington's assistant rushed in with coffee, nearly dropping the tray when she saw our faces. Sir, the security team found something else. She handed him a tablet. On the south service camera. The grainy footage showed a figure in a maintenance uniform slipping behind my jet. The timestamp showed 12 minutes ago. My breath caught as the person turned slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of a familiar slicked-back ponytail. The manager? I whispered. Remington's knuckles turned white around the tablet. That idiot. He threw it on the desk. I'll have him arrested within the hour. Wait. I grabbed his arm as he moved toward the door. This doesn't add up. That message said them. And look. I zoomed in on the footage. Does that look like a hotel manager's hands to you? The figure's gloved hands moved with precise, practiced motions, totally unlike the manager's usual arrogant clumsiness. And the build was wrong. Broader shoulders, taller frame. Remington froze. You think someone's setting him up? Before I could answer, his phone rang. He put it on speaker. Sir, a panicked voice said, we just found the real manager. He's locked in a supply closet downstairs. Says he's been there since breakfast. Ice slid down my spine. So we had an imposter. And if they'd gone to this much trouble... My phone buzzed again. Another message. Check your foundation's bank accounts. Consider this a warning. I nearly dropped the device pulling up our financials. The numbers loaded slowly, each second stretching like taffy. Then I saw it, our main account. Empty, every dollar gone. The room spun. That money fed homeless kids, paid for medical treatments. My voice came out strangled. They hacked my charity. Remington was already dialing. I'm calling the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit and my private security team. He met my eyes. Whoever did this knew exactly how to hurt you most. This isn't random. Who have you crossed recently? A name flashed in my mind like a neon sign. Victor Crane, the ruthless tech mogul whose illegal AI deals I'd exposed last month. The man who'd sworn to destroy me in a courtroom whisper, "You'll wish you'd never been born." But before I could speak, the building's fire alarms shrieked to life. Red lights flashed as a computerized voice boomed, "Emergency evacuation." All guests proceed to exits immediately. Remington's assistant burst back in, face ashen. Sir, there's smoke reported on the 20th floor, and the elevators just stopped working. Through the window, I saw the first tendrils of black smoke curling up the side of the building. Not an accident. Not a coincidence. Crane wasn't just coming for my money. He was coming for everything, and hundreds of innocent people were trapped in this building with me. The fire alarm's wail cut through the air like a knife. Guests screamed as smoke curled under the penthouse doors. Remington grabbed my arm, his grip tight. Emergency stairs, now. But when we threw open the stairwell door, thick black smoke billowed upward. No way down. His assistant gasped, "The service elevator, it has a manual override." We sprinted down the hallway, the carpet burning under my heels. My lungs burned with every breath. The service elevator doors were just ahead when the ceiling panel above us burst open. A masked figure dropped down, blocking our path. Not the fake manager. This man moved like a soldier, smooth, controlled, a pistol glinting in his hand. "Alexa Winters," he said, his voice distorted through the mask. "Mr. Crane sends his regards." Remington stepped in front of me. "You're making a mistake." The gunman didn't flinch. The only mistake was hers, crossing Crane. Time slowed. I saw his finger tense on the trigger. Then, bang. I flinched, but the bullet hadn't come from his gun. The gunman crumpled, a dart sticking from his neck. Behind him, 3 figures in tactical gear advanced, their weapons raised. "Ms. Winters," the lead operative said, "we're with Titan Security. Your pilot called us when your accounts were hacked." Remington exhaled sharply. "Mark?" I nodded, relief flooding me. Mark wasn't just my pilot, he was ex-Special Forces, and he'd clearly been watching my back. The operative handed me a tablet. "We traced the hack. Crane's men rerouted your funds to an offshore account, but we've frozen the transfer. Your money's safe." My legs nearly gave out. The Foundation's funds, the kids. But we weren't safe yet. Smoke poured into the hallway. The operative jerked his head toward the elevator. "We need to move. Crane has men set charges in the basement. This building's coming down." The words hit like a punch. Charges. This wasn't just a fire. It was a demolition. We piled into the service elevator, the operatives working furiously to bypass the lockdown. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of the chaos outside. Guests screaming, staff herding them toward exits. And then, just before the elevator descended, I saw him. Victor Crane, standing calmly in the lobby, watching the panic unfold like it was entertainment. Our eyes met through the closing doors. He smiled. And then the elevator plunged downward. The service elevator shuddered as it descended, the emergency lights casting eerie shadows across our faces. My hands trembled. Not from fear, but from fury. Crane had crossed every line, stealing from my charity, threatening lives, smiling while hundreds of people ran for their lives. The Titan operative checked his watch. "Charges detonate in 7 minutes. We need to clear the block." Remington gripped the elevator rail. "My staff, the guests." "We'll get them out," I promised, though my stomach twisted. 7 minutes wasn't enough. Not for everyone. The doors opened to chaos. The lobby had become a stampede of terrified guests. Through the crowd, I spotted Crane moving calmly toward the exit like a shark parting minnows. "Go!" I shoved the tablet into Remington's hands. "Get your people out. The override codes for the main elevators are in the system." He hesitated. "What about you?" I was already moving. "I'm ending this." The Titan team tried to stop me, but I melted into the crowd, keeping low. Crane's bodyguards flanked him, their eyes scanning for threats. They didn't expect the real danger to come from a woman in smoke-smudged designer clothes. I waited until they reached the revolving doors, then I struck. "Victor!" My voice cut through the panic like a blade. He turned slowly, that infuriating smirk still in place. "Alexa, I'd say it's a pleasure, but..." He gestured at the burning hotel. "You brought this on yourself." The fire alarms drowned out my pounding heart. By exposing your illegal AI weapons? By stopping you from selling killer tech to dictators? His smirk faded. "By thinking you were untouchable." He nodded to his guards. "Finish this?" They reached for their weapons, just as 3 darts embedded in their necks. The Titan team had followed me. Crane's eyes widened as his men collapsed. For the first time, he looked afraid. "You don't understand what you're..." I grabbed his tie and yanked him close. "No, Victor, you don't understand. That money feeds children. That hotel employs hundreds, and you..." I shoved him toward the Titan operatives. "You're going to prison." As they dragged him away, the building gave an ominous groan. 5 minutes left. I sprinted back inside, helping staff herd the last guests out. An elderly couple struggled with their luggage. A mother clutched a sobbing child. One by one, we got them to safety. The final explosion rocked the street just as we cleared the perimeter. The Grand Diamond Hotel collapsed in on itself like a house of cards, flames licking at the sky. In the eerie silence that followed, Remington appeared at my side, his face streaked with soot. Every guest accounted for, minor injuries but no casualties. He studied me. You could have run. Why didn't you? I watched the fire reflected in the puddles of spilled champagne. Because it wasn't about winning, it was about doing what was right. A limo pulled up and Mark stepped out, his pilot's uniform swapped for tactical gear. Funds are back in the Foundation's accounts. Crane's men are in custody. He grinned. And I took the liberty of freezing all his assets. For the first time in hours, I smiled. Remington, meet Mark. My head of security and the man who just saved hundreds of lives. The billionaire extended his hand. Seems I owe you both a debt. Mark shook his head. Just doing our jobs. As dawn broke over the smoldering ruins, I realized something profound. Crane had all the money and power in the world, but he'd lost. Because true strength isn't in wealth or weapons. It's in the choices we make when everything burns down around us. The news crews arrived as we were leaving. One reporter shoved a microphone in my face. Ms. Winters, what's next for Horizon after this tragedy? I didn't hesitate. Rebuilding, starting with a new homeless shelter on this very spot. I glanced at Remington. Assuming my partner agrees? He nodded solemnly. With one condition. No velvet ropes, no dress codes. Open to all. As we drove away, I finally exhaled. The lesson was clear. You can judge a person's clothes, but never their character. And you can measure a building's height, but never the depth of a good heart. The world would remember this day, not for the fire, not for the scandal, but for the moment we proved that kindness, not cruelty, is the real mark of power.